Welcome to a new Harry's Garage video, and as you can tell, I am not in the garage, but I am at Lotus, and specifically I'm outside the Chapman production centre, the new production line for the Emira, because my car is now in build, and Lotus very kindly invited me up to see the production line and see my car partly built. So this video we're going to go for a tour around the production line, see how Emira is put together, and then later I'm going to meet with Matt Windle, MD of Lotus Cars, and just discuss what's been happening with production, why cars are appearing late, and what the future holds on production, etc. So anyway, no further ado, let's go inside, see what's happening. Right, this is the production hall. This is actually where the cars leave, and then there's a test track over there. This is a new facility. The last time I was down here was about a year ago, October 21. There wasn't anything in here, but now it's pretty full of Emiras. How it all works is over there is basically the start of the production run. There's the chassis over there, how that's come together, subframes, the front and rear subframes are all in that hall over there, and then down here it's all actually created into Emira. We'll go down the lines in turn, but first of all I want to kick off with the very start of it, where the chassis arrives in that hall over there. It's quite interesting. This is one of the original halls here that was at Lotus, where all Lotuses are being constructed, and it used to be a sort of aircraft hangar, this one, and obviously the roof was way higher in those days, and in the 80s, because they were spending so much on heating, they decided, I'll tell you what, this is a Meccano kit, this building, let's see if we can lower it, and they took two sections out to bring it down to the sort of roof height we've got here. What's happening in here is the actual bonding process. This is a giant glue gun on here, and I saw there's a bulkhead there, etc. These are the two mixes for the special glue they use. Big rams press those down, and a robot arm puts the glue exactly where it's needed on the roof bit sections, bulkheads, and that sort of thing. But anyway, where I'm going to go, it's just down here where the chassis enters this building. Right, this is the base chassis. This is where it all starts. I've got a photo of mine just coming through that door there, and it lands here, and this is the very start of it. Now, I was intrigued to discover this was actually made in Norfolk as well. It's a different Lotus facility away from here, but this is the bare chassis, and they now have it in left and right hand drive. Apparently previously with Elise and Evora it was basically the same chassis. Now it is actually sided in left and right hand drive, and I can tell from this one, this is left hand drive. There's a hole there. It then goes down this line. You see the guys there, it's the start, the actual wiring loom is going in here, and there's fuel tanks, etc. as it moves down this line. It gets really interesting though next door, because I've never seen the engine and gearbox arrive in their raw state, which is just next door. Now, I've never been in this hall before today. These are the subframes here, engines over there. One thing I learnt today, we see this is galvanised steel subframes. That is what the V6 gets. And when you move to i4, that actually gets an aluminium rear subframe to support it. Not sure the reasons why, I'll probably ask Matt later on. But here are the engines. Engine and gearbox is here as it arrives from Toyota. So without the supercharger on here, and the gearbox is the one bit that they do touch, because that is completely stripped and they put their own internals in this. But the engine is just on the outside. The modifications are all on the outside. They don't touch the oily bits, so heads and things don't come off and that sort of thing. But this is how it arrives from Toyota, and then the guys down there, I can just see making some changes. It's where the supercharger goes on. This is it. This is your gift-wrapped V6 engine from Toyota. The gearboxes are actually rebuilt in another building, but I know these have been rebuilt because they've got the flash of green to say they've all been retorqued, and the bit of gasket goo here. So this is ready to be put in to the Emira subframe, which happens just down here. Just behind there, this is where the seats are assembled. I didn't know how much of the car was actually made here, but yeah, it's trimmed off site and it's brought here, and then all the seats are assembled here in this station. But yeah, just over there is where the supercharger is put on. Right, here's a box of superchargers there, and this is the supercharger here. And this one actually has the lid off it, so I can show you what's underneath. This is your supercharger here. They're the vanes doing the supercharging. That valve you see through the window is opening this valve here. This is the outlet to the engine. This is where the engine breathes from, and that just adds a bit of air, etc. But I do like seeing that. And that is the water to air intercooler, which is also under that housing. So that's everything that hides under this cover on the top of the V6. Now, what else we see? That is actually going on in this process here, but also it's worth seeing where the subframes are assembled, because then you can see all the suspension and rear suspension going on and which shockers always are fitted and how you tell the difference between sport and tour. Now, this is where the springs and the shockers go together. This man has the end-all job of having to compress the springs and get it actually on the damper setting. But you can see here, springs sport front, spring sport rear, spring V6 Tour front and spring V6 Tour rear. And I'll show you the difference between the springs. If you look at this, it says, I hope the camera actually can zoom in on this, it says Tour and the rating is 110 newtons per millimetre of compression. If I look at a rear spring for a sport, there you go, that's the difference. You can see there's more coils on it and it's actually a thicker coil, yet the rating is pretty close, 115 newtons for each millimetre of travel. But there are the two springs together. It'd probably be easier to see it once I put it down, once we see it on the subframe. I'm going to put these down, I'm going to make absolutely sure I put them in the right box, because that would be very embarrassing. I got those mixed up. Right, and they're the two shockers that have come together. It also, they're different on the actual Bilstein shockers as well. It says on there whether they're sport and touring. So actually, when you're looking at a car in a showroom or you're coming to buy an Emira in a few years' time, you will actually be able to tell the difference between the two suspension setups. I think the best thing actually is to have a look at these subframes, which give the game away better. So here obviously is a rear subframe, and you can see it on there, sport, written loud and proud. And also there's a sticker on the shock absorber at the bottom here that says Sport Rear V6. Impossible to see. So this is the front subframe. This is actually for China, this particular one, but you see how the front radiator is angled like that to get the maximum sort of capacity in it. They're all sport suspension apparently in China, but you can see here, this is slightly confusing. This is on all Chinese China cars, NYO. Can't have Lotus on its own apparently. That's why it says Emira on the seats, and it says Lotus NYO, and it's like that on the steering wheel badge as well. But yeah, it's a beautiful construction, all aluminium wishbones as you can see, and Bilstein shockers in there. So those two subframes go on their own little trolley, and then they join the main production line, which is next door. All the way down this production line there aren't actually any i4 engined Emiras in production, but this is an i4 engine, I've just noticed it. So you can see the turbocharger, the 4-cylinder, a much smaller unit, and then the dual clutch transmission next door to it. So yeah, a different gearbox, different setup, and quite a lot smaller than the V6 with the manual gearbox. So this is actually the framework where all the body panels are put on to be painted. So it's like a skeleton thing, so that when the automated painting process works, all the panels get painted as one, but they're not actually on a body itself. And once that's all loaded up, there is the start of the production line for the paint shop. We can't go in there because there's all sorts of dust issues with it, but that is the start, how all the cars are painted in there. Yeah. So at the other end of this line is where that chassis was. As it comes down the line, the first bits of bodywork are attached. That roof we saw getting the bonded and the bulkhead and that sort of thing. And this is where it drops off that line to join this new production hall. And it starts its journey to becoming a complete car up there. And basically down this line, there seems to be brake lines going on. I can see airbag sort of wiring loom, additional wiring looms. And then it moves over to a production line in the middle of the hall. And that's where the real excitement starts, because that's where the front and rear subframe go on. So here is the gear change being assembled and actually put on the centre console. This is what's hiding all underneath. And I love there's this bit of green felt tip that goes everywhere each time a torque is correctly done on a nut or whatever. You see all the assembly here, which you sort of do on race engines and things like that, but you can just see here, that means it's all correctly torqued up and the cables are in there as well. Can never get over how much wiring and pipe work is required on a car these days. But you can see all here, this is all the water lines and oil lines here. If you look in here, now you can see the sort of gear mechanism is all in there in place. and then there's a fuse box down here, and all the wiring is sort of getting in place. And fuel tank was there, that was actually added on another station. But so much to do on a modern car and all the safety equipment. Now this is where my car was this morning. We got here just after 9, it's midday. This is the front and rear subframes, and this is where those are bolted to that, coming off the other line, the sort of the actual body shell itself. So I think here's the front one going on as we speak. So the steering in there and the bolting that in. I just noticed on the rear, Charlie, you can sort of see here the bolts that hold the rear subframe onto the main bulkhead here. That all bit has just been put on, and the front is going on now. And it's starting to look more like a car. We move down the line. I'm getting quite excited now because the next car on is my car. But so this is another China car, so left-hand drive, been assembled. This is my car, and it's the first time I saw it about 9 o'clock this morning, and it's moved 3 stations down. Right, just so you know, I've had to swap the microphone because there's all sorts of wireless controls here. These little automated guidance vehicles that take the Emira also work on radio waves, and the radio mics just couldn't cope, so I've had to go to a Zoom mic. So if it sounds a bit different, there's lots of noise, that's why. But I'll take you back down here, because this is my car. It's just moved station, and here is my car. So the first time I saw it was this morning, and already these subframes went on first thing this morning, front and rear. They're just putting an ECU up there, an engine control module up there. This is it. And you can see on mine I've got Tour suspension. There it is, Tour suspension on there. That's my first look at the colour, which I'm actually very pleased with. I went without the black top, I've got black underneath, but this is the bare bones of it. Look at the yellow calipers hiding under there, Lotus. Like that. So it's my first sight of the car. It's just great to see it on the line. This is the bit you don't normally see, so I'm intrigued because it's quite an effort to actually lift the front body. But obviously we have the water radiator there, and then that's the air conditioning. I follow the pipes back, there's air conditioning under here. But I was staggered the size of this radiator. I don't know if I can show it. No, I can't, it's all taped up, but there's a big radiator at the front there, and that's an oil cooler. I'm amazed at the size of it. And also, when you take the wheel off and just have a look at the size of the discs on this car, huge brakes really for this car. And I love the Bill Steins and the colours. So yeah. It's gone 1, 2, 3, 4 stations so far today, and it's 1:15. We just quickly go down the line. I'll just show you the other things that are going to happen as we go down here. Last bits of wiring getting attached on this station here, but these lights are critical. This is actually a quality control area, so that's why all the lights are here, because then the car gets inspected at this station before moving on down here. It's the first sign of interior. It's carpet trim going in.
Rip it, upside down, that's it.
Roof lining. Dashboard going in. The next stage. They probably don't want us watching this, but centre console just going in this car, so around the starter motor just going in there. This one is where the seats go in, and there's this peculiar mechanism here that picks up a seat. Here, there are the seats there, and sort of lowers it into the car. If you have a quick turn around, Charlie, you just see before the seats go in, all the trim, basically most of the trim is in here. Steering wheel still to go on, airbags, etc. But yeah, really starting to come together. And the last car on the line, seats are in. Just seeing one go round the corner, and then it does the final assembly. The main body parts are just going on the other line. I'm going to stop there because it's 1:25, and we're about to see Matt Windle is coming down any minute now just to take us through some of the things on production and what's been going on here at the factory. Matt, thanks for coming down in the time. I've had a great morning on the production site. I can't get over have the office space here and the best view out of a production run. You can see exactly what's going on, can't you, from up here?
Yeah, I mean it's great working environment for a start. You know, light on both sides. You can see the track on one side and see a production facility on the other. It's quite a nice place to work, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and I was here. I looked back, October 21, not a car inside. Well, there's one or two down there, and to see the change in a year.
Yeah.
But yeah, 22. God, I remember when I saw you in 21. It was just the start, just coming out of COVID. It must be so nice to see production up and running.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we've had it's possibly one of the most challenging business years, I think, on record. So I'll probably look a bit more tired than last time. We're getting there. I mean, we've got consistent flow coming out now. We're behind the curve as far as the plan on PTS was concerned and past to sales. Yeah. But we're getting there. We're getting consistency now.
None of us expected in 21, did we? We thought that would clear. That was it. And it's just how long it took to correct itself in 22. But
and a war started in Europe in January that we weren't planning for.
Yeah.
And obviously there's been ongoing issues over in China as well as far as COVID lockdowns are concerned. So, and then on top of that, if you add the fuel crisis, logistics, Felix Stowe, I can go on forever.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it's not just one thing; it's everything coming from everywhere.
Absolutely, and I think it's not just external as well. It'd be wrong for me to say that. Some of the areas internally we've underestimated the challenge as well, particularly around the logistics. But now we've got good systems in place. Our warehouses are full, both on site, and we've got a consolidation hub in the Midlands as well. So we're getting there.
Yeah.
And we've also seen a bit of an issue with resource. So getting in the number of people we need to get the second shift on for the manufacturing as well has been a challenge. But again, we're knocking over those issues now. So we're having to train a lot of people, spend a bit longer to get them ready to build the cars because we want to get the quality to be right, which I'm sure you'll be pleased to hear.
Well, yes, I'm car number 333 apparently is the car coming down. So 333 customer spec cars. Yeah. You built, as I understand it, from there. But when I saw you in 21, I think the biggest surprise was how big the order bank it grew, didn't it? From that Goodwood reveal festival, just how many orders you've got.
I think it's given me a level of confidence around the product, which is encouraged us even more to try harder if that was possible. Yeah. There was a stat that somebody worked out that between Goodwood 21 and Goodwood 22, we sold more cars in that year than we had in the previous 6 years combined against our products. So you can see where where the interest is in the product, and I'm really pleased. I mean, thank you to all the customers that have ordered. So well done. Yeah. It keeps us going, and I'm just a little bit frustrated that we're not getting the cars out there as quick as we'd like, but we will get there. Once it's one of these things where it's kind of slow, and then once you get to consistent production, we'll be just shelling them as well.
So the expectant customers out there, what do we say to them? I've had about a 6-month delay, which I think is about right, but you're not at full production yet.
We're not. No, we're not where we wanted to be, and we're looking towards. We want to be running at volume in 23. I think is the reality. So we're going to bring in a second shift, hopefully later this year. We'll need to then train that shift up. So this is why you look on the production floor now, you can see a lot of people.
Yes.
That's because we've already got the start of the twilight shifter here training on days.
I noticed that.
So it looks like there's a lot of people standing around, but they are all being trained. They are, but again, that's a business expense that you have to carry as well, because we're not ready to launch that second shift yet. But we're taking the time to train them. Supervisors will go on to the twilight shifter here now as well. So it's good. I mean, as I say, it's slower than I'd like, but actually I think in the long run we'll get a better result out of it.
So what's the prediction for 22 production now?
I won't put a number on it, but a lot less than we planned. I think we
4,000.
We had planned more than that. So I think we're probably going to be about 25% in the output we've planned for 22.
But high hope for 23 then?
Yeah.
You think you'll be double shifting and...
Well, absolutely, and this is now, my mindset has just moved to, okay, this year is what it is. It's been a bit of a disaster as far as numbers getting out the door are concerned. But I've got to make sure we hit 23 running so that we can then start start delivering on that order bank that we've got, and getting good product out there, which is nice. I mean, we actually had our first. We do a pulse survey. So we had our first customer pulse survey came back this week, which was pretty good. So that's given us some encouragement, and we've got to keep that level up as well.
Was there also, just looking at the cars that have been delivered, they've gone to Europe before UK as well? Is there reasons?
There is a reason for that. Brexit.
That dreaded word Brexit.
No, seriously, I'm not going to get political on you, but you have to go through a separate approval now. So you have to get European approval, then you have to get UK approval. Whereas before we had whole European vehicle approval, we could sell into our cars. So the other thing that's been interesting is for the customers we've contacted in the UK around how they would like their car, because we're now direct selling in the UK. Yeah. So you can either have it delivered to your house, pick it up from one of our agents, or pick it up from the factory. And about 50% of the customers we contacted want factory collection.
Oh, right.
Well. So yeah, we've got
that slows it down
a little bit of a mini industry that we're having to design around that. But again, I believe that's going to start very soon as well. So
if they went full dealer collection, would it speed their car up then?
Not necessarily. I mean, to be fair to the sales team, I think there's been a little. They give us a priority sheet, what cars they would like, and there has been a little bit of us in operations kind of going, right, I can make that car, so I'm going to ship that car, rather than the priority cars, because we've just been trying to get the past sales numbers up.
Right.
But now we have a weekly priority sheet, because some dealers haven't even got their demo car when customers have got them, but it's just falling into the regions they're in and what cars have been ready to come off the line, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, but no, we're trying to deliver in order. In the order that we've got from the order bank as well, and you will get your cars as soon as they're ready to go. Because I mean, like yours is down there now, that'll be out of the plant in 2 days, and then it'll go away for preparation. So you should be having a conversation very soon with sales about how you can pick that up.
Yeah, it's 2 or 3 weeks, wouldn't it? I would have thought people.
Yeah. Well, that'll be off from there. That'll be offline in 2-3 days. So
okay.
Good to go.
Yeah. And then the other bit I don't understand, when I look at the configurator, you can still order a first edition.
The plan was that it was going to be a number of first editions per market, so whether they've reached that capacity or not.
Right.
So, but it is fair to say that the base car, which was going to follow on, is we've delayed basically because we haven't got the V6s out there that we wanted to get out there. So again, you'll start seeing the i4 around the end of the first quarter, second quarter of next year.
Which was due at the end of this year, wasn't it? I think so. That's a possible 9-month delay.
Yeah, December 22. So it's going to be the start of Q2 really now, because we've still got so many V6s that are first editions to do. So before the base will come out, and then that comes out with the additional colours and things like that. So the configurator will get a bit of a refresh.
Right. What about the price? You're still holding the price?
We are still holding the price. Totally honest, I'm struggling at the moment. It's just everything inflation-wise, cost of materials. I mean, logistics, for instance, at the moment it's costing us 4 times we budgeted, just in fuel, and the fact that there's very limited routes now. So we have just about started to get the deep sea stuff in. So to start with, we were flying a lot of stuff, so logistics was costing us a lot. Now we've got materials on ships.
Right.
And we're looking at train links as well, which we think is still feasible. So we're trying to. It's going to be let's get the cars flying, and then we'll work on what we can do for efficiencies afterwards.
Yeah. The peak production you can get to is
we planned 7,000 as peak. Yeah. So on 2 shifts. So we've got a step to go. Whether we get there next year or the year after, I'm not sure. But it's all about now is the planning we do the end of this year to get us to volume, so we hit the start of next year at volume. Because the problem is once you lose those manufacturing slots, you can't get them back. It's not, to get them back, you'd have to put a 3rd shift on, which is logistically is not feasible for us. Yeah. So unless we speed up the build rate, which we're playing with at the moment. Actually, you can't see it here, but we are running lines at different tack times. Just to so the tack time, is the move up time between the builds. So we've been running at 22 minutes. So each one of these cars will be in this build zone for 22 minutes, but we're also trialing running at 17 minutes. So then you can really accelerate your manufacturing rate. So we're just trying to what we've had is in the process so far is we've been kind of pulling from factory A where the finished cars are. What we're trying to do is push, so we're trying to fill the system, so we're pushing cars out of the factory rather than pulling them out, so we don't get these gaps. So and as we've just stood here, the line your car's on has just moved up half of it. So
it's gone under the lights. I can see it. I'll go down and have a look.
Yeah, so it's interesting though. They move up in a bit of a strange arrangement because they're on these AGVs.
Yes.
They don't all go up together. They have to make sure one's out of the way before the next one starts. So it's a little bit of a dance.
Well, we didn't realise we were standing there thinking, why isn't this one moving? It turned us, it was us. It didn't like us. We were very dangerous.
It stood in front of it.
It wouldn't run us over. I can't get over how many yellow cars you've got down there.
Yeah, these are the first batch that are going out to China actually. That's why they're on left-hand drive, and they seem to be very popular with the yellows.
They do.
You know, you should kind of change your colour every week, but I still have my favourite configuration on here, which when I get the opportunity I'll get, which is the Nimbus grey with the black wheels and the yellow calipers. That for me,
that's the one.
That's the set for me.
Well, I can't wait. Actually, I presume there's going to be more colours coming and things like that in the future.
There will be, yes.
Yeah.
Again, they'll get launched in the new year with the base product comes out as well. So I think there's another 7 colours. Maybe it's a bit more than that. I have got the list on my phone. And I'll say to everybody, I know it's been frustrating. Trust me, it's been really frustrating for me as well. But I've got to say for everybody at Lotus, the effort they've been putting in. I mean, we've been working some crazy hours to try and get this product into production flow. And you can see the pride that the people are taking in the cars as well. It's coming out in the quality at the end of them as well. So it's really good. I mean, it's moved Lotus on as far as technology and quality.
Production facilities
and production facility a huge way, but that has been a learning curve for us as well. There's no doubt.
Yeah, good. Right, Matt. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it was good to chat, and let's look forward to 23 and a different year to 22. Well, that was really interesting talking to Matt. All sorts of issues they're facing getting cars out the door. As with every other manufacturer I know, it's not just one particular issue, it's all sorts of issues. And he was telling me, we didn't actually record that thing, but it's like seatbelts were in a container, but they're only part of a container. The container got delayed in a different port, they couldn't get their seatbelts out. It's that sort of challenge they're facing to get these cars finished. This is quite interesting. This is all the fluids going in. I've just seen him put in it's engine and transmission oil. They've literally just been filling up the cars there. As I say, they go down that line and they're complete cars. And if we go into this hall, final quality confirmation hall, written above the door, this is where all the finished cars then end up. Well, this is sort of the final quality control, so all the paint finals in here, this is what all these lights are all about. Looks spectacular under some of this, but the final polishing after the cars are assembled. There is also a shakedown test track out there for bumps and rattles, which they have to go around if they can see that before coming in here. So there's a whole load of this, what Matt was sort of emphasising, they want to get the quality right on this car, and the production hasn't fully ramped up until these are customer cars. I say my car is number 333 of the customer cars they produced, and I cannot get over, as I said before, look how many yellow ones. Apparently it's China particularly keen on yellow. And the other thing that was interesting about the UK cars, the fact they had to go through EU homologation first before the UK homologation could then take place, and hence why the cars went to Europe first. Well, there we go. It's been fascinating going around Lotus, seeing what was happening here. A real buzz about it. Everybody really wants to get more Emiras out the door, but they don't want to rush it because they want quality absolutely up the tops. I can fully understand. But it sounds like 23, once they get into double shifts and that sort of things will really change. I've really enjoyed my tour. Lovely to get under the skin of Emira, and in a few weeks' time, I just can't wait. I'll be getting my car. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, well, keep watching, keep subscribing in large numbers. Thanks so much for that and supporting the channel. More videos coming along very soon. One of the things that's happening just now, all the guys who have built my car being seen today, I've just asked them to sign the car. So lots of signatures going in on the car, just as a touch, because cars are just as much about people as about mechanicals.
I was just about to draw it.